With the cold plunge industry rapidly growing, it's tough to know which plunge is right for you and if a product is really as good as it looks online. Next to me is the new vertical tub by Cold Creek Tubs. Now there's some really premium features on this tub with really competitive pricing when you stack this up against competitor options that have those similar features. So I'm really excited to review this one, to break this one down and help you decide if this is the right plunge for you. Let's get right into it. When it comes to delivery, the full setup came in 2 packages. It came direct from FedEx, which allowed for much faster shipping, and I didn't have to worry about making a delivery appointment time or being home to sign for it like you do with products that ship from freight. Everything was nicely wrapped up and protected well, and I really like how the boxes came branded. The small details like that give off a very professional impression right away. When opening up boxes like this, you always want to be really careful. So I like to use my son's safety scissors, a butter knife, something that's not super sharp, and I'll show you why. If you come over here and you look inside this box, right on the top is the stairs and that EVA foam. If you were to use, say, a knife or a box cutter or something, there's a really good chance that you might accidentally cut through that plastic and that foam, and that would really stink if you opened up your brand new box and you accidentally slice right through the top of the product. Now let's go ahead and get set up. The first step was getting the tub out of the box. So per the company's recommendation, I tilted the box towards me and pulled the tub right out. The tub is right around 82 pounds with no water in it, so it's not super light. I was able to get this done by myself, but it may be helpful to have a second set of hands just to get this pulled out safely. Step 2 was removing the stairs, the chiller, and the hardware. Now make sure you hang on to the piece of foam that comes with the chiller because we are going to come back to that. The next step was installing the child locks. There's 2 screws on each side, and this is very important to me, having 2 little kids at home. Next, we're going to remove the front panel and the side panel on the chiller so we can remove the 2 shims that are in place for shipping. It is pretty cool to be able to actually see inside this chiller all the different pumps and electrical connections here. This isn't something that you often do, is pop open the chiller and take a look inside, and everything in here looks really nice and clean. I got the panels put back onto the chiller, and the next step was getting the plumbing hooked up. I used a styrofoam from shipping to tilt the tub over to make it easier to access the holes on the tub. The longer piece of plumbing goes on the bottom, and the shorter piece goes on the top. You do need to take your time when putting these on and maneuver them a bit as you get them tightened up. Now it was all ready to be connected to the chiller. The top line goes to out, and the bottom line goes to in. This is labeled on the chiller to make it easy. I got them all tightened up, brought the stairs over, and it was time for water. Whenever you're working with a plunge that has cooling and filtration, you always want to make sure you fill up that plunge first. It's very easy to accidentally turn it on or plug it in, and if you run those filters or those cooling components without any water going through them, you do run a very high risk of burning out those pumps quickly. Now there's no paper directions that come with this for setup, but there's a video online and it's very easy to follow. Let's talk specs. The exterior of the plunge is 28 inches wide, 54 inches long, and 42 inches tall. The dry weight of the tub is right around 82 pounds, and it is the heaviest piece of all of these pieces that you'll have to move. The tub fits users up to 6'4" and holds 75 gallons of water, but it is recommended to fill around that 48 to 50 gallon mark because of the displacement that your body makes of that water when you get in and out. The unit is built for both indoor and outdoor weather, and they state that you can continue to use this whole system in freezing conditions as long as you, 1, keep the unit running at all times, keep it plugged in, and then 2, keep the lid on when it's not in use. The chiller does include built-in freeze protection. Unfortunately, I don't live in an area that gets cold enough for me to truly test that, so I can't really speak to how well that works. The tubs are made with a polyethylene, which is similar to what's used in high-quality coolers, and it's a really thick, durable material. The body's also injected with 4 inches of foam insulation, which helps keep this cold year-round. The cooling unit is a 1/2 horsepower chiller with a 24/7 circulation pump, a 5-inch filter, and ozone purification. The ozone starts when the chiller's plugged in, and it runs for 1 hour every 24 hours. I personally prefer that the ozone runs overnight, so my best advice is to go out right before bed, unplug your system, plug it back in. That will reset that timer that starts the ozone so it'll run while you sleep. If you're curious if the ozone is running or not, there's a few indicators you can look for. The first is the bottom jet. If there's bubbles coming out of it, that usually means that the ozone is being injected at that time. The other thing you can do is you can just open that lid up and smell it, because there is a slight smell when the ozone's running. This unit can be plugged into a standard 120 volt household outlet, and it includes a 6-foot power cord that's compatible with extension cords. Just make sure if you do use an extension cord, your extension cord is compatible with the electricity requirements of the chiller, because those cords all do have different ratings. The stairs have an EVA foam decking, which is a non-slip material. This is typically what you see in boats. It's super durable, it doesn't get very hot, it feels really nice on your feet, and for me it just brings back good nostalgia. It just makes me think of like boat days. The stairs are also large enough to cover the entire chiller, the plumbing, everything underneath, so it makes all that disappear, giving it a nice clean look. I'm a huge fan of the safety features on this tub. The whole thing, including the lid, is super solid. It comes with standard child locks, which for me, I really appreciate that aspect, because it's always a fear of mine that a child or a pet or someone would end up in that plunge that's not supposed to be there. But with the way that this is built, I feel super confident with the setup. When it comes to the overall aesthetics, this is a really good looking setup. So if you take a close look here, this is that moonshine color. So it has gray, black, kind of gold speckles throughout. I really like how that looks and how it's not just a solid white color. I also like how they went with the wood tone on the EVA foam decking here. I like how the chiller is able to fully conceal under the stairs. I mean, overall, I just think that this is a really clean, good looking setup. To set the chiller, you'll come right down here to the side. You'll hold down this set button until you hear a beep. And then you'll go ahead and you can bring this all the way down to 39 degrees. Now, when you found a temperature that you want it to be at, you'll just hold that set button again. Listen for that beep, and you're good to go. Now it's set at that temperature. Now, when you turn this back on, there will be some noise that comes from it. So if you wanted a silent session when you were in the plunge, you can go ahead and just hit the pause button right here like I just did. Hit your session, it'll be nice and quiet. And then when you're done with your session, you'll want to get that chiller and filtration back on. You'll just tap that pause button again, and you'll hear the system kick back on. It's time to hop in and talk about the user experience. When you're filling this up with water, you want it to be about 12 inches below the top. I initially had it about 9. It was a little bit too much water, so I adjusted it down to 12, and now this should be the perfect depth. The other thing to note is when you look inside, as I climb in here, there is a step. So I'm gonna go ahead and step right onto that step. Use that to get in, and then that also doubles as a seat, so that's where I'm gonna sit right down onto. All right. So, initial thoughts, it's spacious in here. This seat works really well, so this is comfortable. If I did want to face the opposite direction, I also could do that, because the way I have it set up now, it's facing a wall. But I really like how smooth this inside is. I like how much space I have in here. Overall, it feels really good inside. So I know a lot of people like to dunk, so that's what I'll go ahead and do now, is just show you how you can dunk in a vertical tub like this. Another thing that I like about a vertical tub like this is if I get back from a run and I only want to get my legs in here, this is really comfortable to just kind of lean back and just kind of sit in here with just my legs. I don't always want my full body in, especially if I cold plunge like multiple times a day and I only want to hit targeted areas. My legs are a good example because they're always sore, especially after any sort of running or workout. So this is really easy to do that and just target that lower half of your body. When it comes to warranties, the tub comes with a 5-year warranty, and the chiller comes with a 2-year warranty in a residential setting and a 1-year warranty in a commercial setting. Let's talk about swapping the filter and how to drain the plunge. To swap the filter, the first thing that you want to do is pause or turn off the pump. Then from there, you can shut off the flow in the plumbing lines. Next, you're going to screw off the top of the filter. This does need to be tight in order to get a good seal, so you will need a bit of elbow grease to get that top off. After that, swap out the filter and reverse that whole process. So screw the top back on, put the valves back to the open position, turn the pump back on, and then press the top button here just a few times to release any air. Once you see water spray out of this, you know that you're good to go. Now for draining the tub. Always make sure you turn the pump off before draining or unplug it so you don't burn out the pump. The tub features a drain spigot at the bottom, so if you're in an outdoor setting, you can just open that up and let it freely flow. But if you do need to redirect that water, you can just attach a standard garden hose to the end of that spigot and then bring that hose wherever you want that water to drain to. Now for the pros and cons. For the pros, first is the build quality. So this tub is super solid. It looks so good. They did such a nice job with their branding and just the overall design. Second is the child locks. I love how these come standard and aren't an add-on feature. This is very important to anybody who has children. Third is the size. It fits users all the way up to 6'4". Fourth is the overall features and functionality. There's ozone, there's filtration, there's an insulated tub, a winterized chiller. It gets cold, it stays clean, and it does what it says it does. Fifth is the warranty. 5 years on the tub and 2 years on the chiller. And then last is that this is a family-run company with their own manufacturing and in-house customer service, so I really like that aspect. Now the cons. Dunking in a vertical tub is different than dunking in a horizontal tub for obvious structural reasons. And in this style, you go face forward versus kind of that flat dunk. Now this isn't necessarily a bad thing, and I'm sure that there are some people who would actually prefer this, like my wife, because a lot of times she wants to get her face dunked, but she doesn't necessarily want to get her whole head wet. So for me, it's just something that I need to personally get used to. Next is the ozone. The ozone works great, so that's not the issue, but you can't set that specific time per se. Now you can unplug it and then plug it back in, which will reset that timer. Then it will automatically run at the same hour every single day, but you just need to remember when you do that so you know when it is running. Again, I came out at night, I unplugged it, I plugged it back in, that set it to run overnight, so it's good for me, but just make sure you consider that as you're getting this set up. To be honest, I'm very impressed with this setup. For the price point and all the features that come with it, this is a very competitive option that's really changing the game in the cold plunge world. On top of making a great product, this is a family-owned business who stands behind their products, and I actually had the opportunity to speak with the owners, which is pretty rare. They're wonderful to work with, and you can really tell just by conversating with them how passionate they are about what they do. Now, if you're wondering how they're able to offer such competitive pricing, this is because they make their own products. So no middleman, no outsourcing, and by cutting out that middleman, they're really able to be more in control of their pricing than other brands who are, getting products from a third party. Overall, this is a great product made by some great people. Now, if there's anything at all that I missed, please drop it in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer any other questions. And if you aren't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can continue to follow along on this wellness journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.